where we've been so far this year, we've laid out the house, downstairs, upstairs. We've gone to the window. The window is where we cast vision. We look out. We've walked through this idea of the 1-4-1-4, the four horizons of vision, where we see what we see. If you've missed any of these, Luann has those recorded. At the thing at South Albemarle that we had, there's two sticky notes back here. From there, we didn't record that one though, did we? Happy to think through that stuff with you at some point if you want to. But I'm going to assume that I know not everybody's been here, but I'm going to assume that if you've not, you've watched and you're caught up, because everything that we're doing is kind of building on, at least to some extent. So this frame that I've drawn is the frame to our window in the upstairs. That's where our vision is. These horizons, 90-day, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, this is foreground, midground, background, beyond the horizon. That fits inside the window. That's inside of our frame. Does that make sense? Everybody with me? Okay. So I'm going to sort of leave that behind to some extent and begin to walk around the frame and how we build our frame. You guys know, y'all got kids or grandkids, or y'all, you know those little canvas things they like to paint on? You can buy them for $1 at the dollar store. You know what I'm saying? It's very, very thin pieces of wood and with little thin staples in the back of them at the corners. If I pop one of those staples out and it sort of does this, it bends up, the picture, the image is very distorted. You can kind of see what it is, but if I begin to tighten the frame, the tighter my frame gets, the tighter I stretch the canvas across it, the clearer the pixels are, the clearer the vision, the image is in that. So the tighter we build our frame, the clearer our vision for our church becomes. And in this tool, our frame consists of 4 sides: our mission, our strategy, our values, and our outcomes. These answer questions for us. So mission tells us, so I can get working right. And mission answers the question of what? What do we do? Right? What is the church supposed to be doing? Okay? And that's what I'm going to talk about for the rest of today. But just to fill the rest of this in, strategy answers the question of how. How do we do that? Values answers the question of why. And outcomes is when. And it's not when do we do it, that's all the time, right? But when do we know we've done it? How do we know we've actually done what it is that we say we want to do? So the next several months, we're going to kind of work our way around this frame. Mission is what do we do as the church specifically. Somebody used 2 words from the New Testament to answer that question. Make disciples, right? As Baptists, can we all agree on that? Okay, if not, then we'll have other conversations later. But Matthew 28, make disciples. That's the commandment. That's what we're told to do. And I think most of us would agree that our mission as a church is to make disciples. However, that is unique in some sense to each local church. Okay? I'm different than every single one of you in this room. Some of you don't like me because I'm different. Okay? Like I'm hard to like maybe a little bit because I'm different. Okay? And we y'all I'm just kidding with that. I don't know of anybody that doesn't like me. If you don't like me, buy me lunch and I'll give you every reason you should like me. So but anyway, I digress. But we're all uniquely, differently made. We have different personalities. Our personalities shine forth in the pulpit. Our personalities shine forth in our leadership styles in our deacons meetings and finance and properties and all that stuff. We're different. We're different human beings. That's the way God's created us, and He's created us intentionally that way. And likewise, I believe He's created our churches uniquely different. My church is not like your church, and your church is not like my church. Now, we have a lot of things that are similar. We have a lot of things in common. Just like around the room, there's a lot of things all of us have in common, right? And so, but still uniquely different. Our churches are the same way. Our churches consist of people. Our churches are not places. They're not structures. They're people. And because people are different, the church has to be different. Your church has to be different than my church because it's different people. Does that make sense? And God has, in His sovereignty, Andy put how many churches in our association? 84 churches. And I believe that all 84 of those churches are different from one another. And I don't believe any of them are there by accident. I believe that God's sovereign. I believe that God is in control. I believe that God establishes, right? He births churches. We plant churches. God does that by the Spirit, by the Spirit and by the Word. And so every church has a uniqueness to it, has something different about it. And so while we are to make disciples, while that is what all of us are to be doing as churches, we do that uniquely. And we do those in unique context. My neighborhood, my context, my church location, it's different than your neighborhood and the people that live around your church and the people that you're trying to reach. And I get it. There's some of our churches are so close. There's definitely some overlap. I get that. But generally speaking, you have a unique neighborhood. You have a unique place that you're stationed and a unique people that you're trying to reach. I think about the churches that, your cowboy churches and your biker churches and all those different target demographics, right? Whether you do that or not, that's a uniqueness, right? They're trying to reach a unique people that, frankly, I don't know that I'm all that gifted to be able to reach. My skill set is definitely not cowboy and definitely not biker, right? And so that's not me. So what I want to do is to help us think through what is the unique mission that God has given you in your church. What is the unique, specific mission of making disciples? How does that fit your church? So what I'm going to do is I want to do group exercise one more time. So I'm going to make you guys get up. So you guys will be mad at me, but it'll be all right. So I want one table at that sticky note, one table at that sticky note, and one table at that sticky note on that wall. There's 3 groups, 3 tables, 3 sticky notes, okay? Here's what I want. Pick a handwriter, somebody to write. Bullet points are fine. I want you guys to, if you will, just join the same church for a moment, okay? This can be, let's just call this First Baptist Yawari, okay? That don't exist, so let's just go with that one. We'll just make up First Baptist Yawari. This is Average Baptist Church, okay? Average size, average people. Does that make sense? Everybody with me? It's fictional, so play along, okay? And again, if you were doing this, these are tools for you to lead your people through, right? So if you were doing this, you would be doing this with your people, and you would be doing this with your deacons, your staff, whoever, and you would be it would be fictitious, right? But just to kind of teach it, I want you guys to play along. So here's what I want us to think through. Three different things. I want this group to think through. You guys think through what is our church uniquely gifted to do? Uniquely. Okay, I want you to think about who has God brought to our church? Who are the people that we have in our church? What are the connections that we have? Where are we located? Have fun with it, make it up, Does that make sense? Like, who are we? What has God gifted us to be able to do? You guys are thinking about our location. Where are we situated at? Okay? I don't know where you are.
Where are you situated?
Stoney's got his own group over here. Stoney's got his own group. He's a church hopper. No, so this group is thinking about what are we, where are we located? So what is the specific, unique need in this community? I know it's Jesus. Yeah. We know that. Okay, that is all over planet Earth. It's Jesus. I got you. Okay. Specifically, what is some of the demographics of where your church is situated? What are some of the problems that are in your backyard? What are some of the physical specific needs that are there? And then this table, you guys are thinking through, what has God called you as the pastor? What is your passion as a pastor? Okay? What is your passion for the gospel? And again, we're pastors. We know this isn't Sunday school when you get home and you ask your 13-year-old smart aleck, what'd you learn about Sunday school? Jesus. Okay, thanks, bud. Right? That's the stage of life I'm in right now. So that's not what I'm looking for. Okay? So I know you want to preach the gospel. I got it. But what are some of the specifics that God's uniquely put in your heart to be able to do in your local church? Right? Let's take 5 minutes. Don't overthink it. Bullet points. Get creative. Go. All right, here we go. So, again, challenging to do when you're making it up, right? Much, much easier to do when it's your congregation, your church, and we're talking about hard data sort of thing. So, what we did is one group. Let's start with this one. One group looked at our general location. Where are we? Okay, and so I'm gonna put the words local place, and I'm gonna put a slash, and this is gonna make sense in a second. But local problem. So they identified their church in the center of the county, which I think's pretty significant. Okay, that's a great place of outreach to be in the center of the county. It's rural. There's new development coming in. There's new industry nearby. It sounds like you guys are on the western end of the county, actually. But there's a Dollar General within 1 mile, which is true of every one of our churches. Yeah. That's this was supposed to be fictitious, but we're 5 miles from the high school. There's 60%. So demographically, 60% of our community are locals that are native to the community, and then 40% are transplants. They're what? Immigrants into the community. They're coming in with new industry. Demographically, 65% is traditional families, 35% is single family, like single parent family. 75% employed, 15% unemployed, 10% retired. So we've described our unique situation, our unique location, and the truth is, that's every single one of us. If we did this with our churches, our list would be different. There'd be a lot of similarities because we're in the same cities and the same counties, but they would be different where God's put us. So one of the things we were talking about back there that you could add to this, maybe you're walking through your parking lot every other day picking up needles. Right? Like that's a unique problem to your parking lot for some reason attracts people using needles, right? Maybe my parking lot doesn't and your parking lot doesn't, but for some reason yours does. That's okay. God's sovereign, right? Like that's not an accident. I don't believe in coincidence with God. So that means something. Let's say again another one that we see sometimes, and maybe some in Stanley or Montgomery County. If God has put a unique group of people in your area, so there's a group of refugees from whatever nation, right? And when I lived in Louisville, there were Iraqis in our apartment complex that had were refugees from 03, 04 and all of that lived right there where we were, and that was incredibly unique. That was an eye-opening experience for me. So maybe that's a situation, right? There's refugees. Maybe there's again 35% single.
Switch that in there. Today you could switch that. Probably 65% single parent and 35%.
It very well could. It could be 65. Yeah, I mean, you're going to see a lot of single parent homes, a lot of single moms. If this right here, most of you guys are probably familiar with Mission Insight. Anybody? You guys familiar with Mission Insight? Mission Insight is a demographic study the Baptist State Convention has access to and can run demographics for your church. And if Andy can do that, I can do that. Let him know, and they can do a demographic. You can set that up to a half mile, a mile, 3 miles, and you will be surprised at the people that live, according to the census, which is pretty recent at this point, in your community, right? So that's what we're talking about. Either demographics or unique. There's a problem in our community. So again, here's an example. Fred Luter, right? SBC president, is it Franklin Avenue Baptist Church, I think, in New Orleans. Came through Katrina. Guess what? They had a pretty unique problem in 2005, 2006. Okay, so when they were making disciples, it was impacted by the fact that their city just got washed away. If you live in Western North Carolina right now or pastor in a church in Western North Carolina right now, you have a unique problem in that, you went months without stuff. All the Helene recovery. That's unique. I promise you, the people in Colorado, our brothers and pastor friends in Colorado, they're not dealing with Helene the way that we were. Does that make sense? Or they were. So those are unique situations and unique problems that ought to be considered about where God's put you. Collective potential is the other one. Recover, restoration type people, county, rural, construction workers. We have a lot of older adults. They're good at reaching other older adults. We need-based ministry, cars, food, pet food. What's that mean? Somebody explain that to me.
We were talking about reaching older people.
Okay.
Older people would have
needs for that.
Needs for those things.
Okay.
We were talking about a ministry, you said to make it up, but I read about a ministry where the guy was a mechanic like me and they started a garage on a church property, and they would take cars that were donated and repair them. And then when somebody had a car that needed fixing, they would say, just pick you out one. And then they would take their car and restore it.
So I love that example. That's a church that said, hey, we got some unique giftings. We got people that are able to work with vehicles and to fix them back up. We can use that.
And then the pet food, I said that because a lot of seniors that I visit, they have pets and all, and I have pets and animals, and food is really expensive. Sometimes they buy food for their puppy rather than eat themselves.
Yeah. So here's the point of this. Think through the people that God's put in your church. Right? So if I'm a church of 100 and I have 6 sheriff deputies that go to my church, that's huge. Obviously God's doing something with that. Right? Yeah, I got a big crime problem, right? Yeah, so if I've got teachers, yeah, who said that? Teachers. If I've got 6, 7, 8, 9 middle school teachers, high school teachers, okay, that's significant. That's a unique, not everybody can teach. That's a unique gifting. So as we come back to the frame here and we say, what were we supposed to? We're supposed to make disciples. Okay. I get that. And biblically, like Scripture and teaching the Bible doesn't change, but how do I do that with the giftings that God's put in my church? I've got teachers. And guess what? We're 5 miles from the high school. Could we do something at the local high school to reach people there, to make disciples there? Right? Or I'm spitting distance from the high school. Right? I mean, I can throw a rock and hit the high school. Right? So how do I make those connections? How do I find the people in my church that have those inroads and those connections to get there and then begin to utilize that in some way, shape, or form to make disciples? Can you see the uniqueness of this? Right?
Absolutely.
And we walk through this exercise with our staff or our leaders, our pastors, elders, deacons, whoever it is, committees, or a whole congregation even. Right? Then we begin to see how God has uniquely placed our church in this community. What we're going to do is, I don't know that I see it on this one because we made the whole thing up, but what the next step is to take our marker and say, hey, we got, we got this, and I got this, right? That's a connection point. And we start to connect these dots visually, mentally. All right, so this last one, the unique passions of the pastor. So what is the pastor's passion? Okay, now again, I know it's Jesus. I know it's the gospel. I get that. But some of this stuff's pretty unique. It's personal. That's a good word, right? Raise up other pastors. Grow the church through conversions. Teach, study God's word. Foster care and adoption. Not every pastor feels a unique calling into that ministry the same way. We all get James 1:27, right? We got that, okay? And we'll teach it, but some of us are going to enter into that, okay? When I was pastoring in the mountains, my family went, my wife and I did foster care for a few years, and by the time I left, we had 5 other families in the church doing foster care. That was unique to that congregation because of my passion and my wife's passion. Create passion for serving, passion for missions. And again, passion for missions, every one of us is going to say, well, yeah, I want to do missions. But some of us want to be on the mission field like every other week. You know what I mean? Like I think about David Platt, and when he was at Brook Hills, and it felt like he was in Nepal or India or somewhere, like literally every other week doing something. Passion for creating evangelists, and there, I'll go a step further in that and say maybe your passion is street evangelism, maybe it's street preaching, maybe you like street preaching and you enjoy being on the corner doing that kind of stuff, right? Like not all of us enjoy that, not all of us are comfortable just walking up to people on the street, like, and again, a lot of these things we do because we do have some inclination for that. But others of them, like, man, some people just, like Marty Dupree. Y'all know Marty Dupree?
Yeah.
I love that brother. And I've been with him at different times. And you can't walk from here to there without him having 6 gospel conversations on the way. Like that, he thrives in that. We were trying to pull into a parking garage one time in his van. And there was a line of traffic in downtown Asheville behind us because he's trying to share the gospel with the parking attendant taking his money. And, I love that. So some people have that desire, disciple men to be godly men, encourage biblical family model, right? So all of these things can be expositional preaching. I skipped that. All of these things can be very, like there's this, it's not just, yeah, I do this. It's like, this makes me tick. This is the thing. I read the books on this. These are the conferences I go to. This is the stuff I do on my day off kind of stuff, right? So we do all of that. Let me let me show you why we do all that. And I'm about 5 to 10 more minutes. Where's my black Sharpie? Who's got my black Sharpie? Is that somewhere around here? Thank you, sir. So we call this tool Kingdom Concept. And I'm going to give you a handout in just a minute to take with you. So, essentially, this is my place problem. This is our collective potential as a church. And this is the pastor's passion. And when we've done all of this work, what we want to do is say, where do these three overlap? Because that is the unique sweet spot, it's the unique mission. That's where God's called us to make disciples. Sweet spot's the perfect word for that, Stoney. That's the sweet spot. That's where I want to focus in on, right? Now, does it mean that I'm not going to do this little thing over here? Right? I am. I'm going to do this, and we're still going to do some of this too. But man, this is where we're going to excel at. This is where God's created our church to really focus in on. So, local story that every time I teach this, I always share this story. I got permission because I was doing it locally. At least permission from Andy. Anyway, so First Baptist Locust, Tommy Ross, right? So 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago, I'm teaching this concept with the group of guys, and he's in the group. And in their church, their community, one of the things that they wrote right here was Hispanic. Okay? And one of the things that they wrote right here is we got a guy that's got like a PhD in theology that's Spanish. Right? And one of the things right here is church planting. Okay, guys, the sweet spot's real easy to see. Real easy to see. Okay? You got a theology doctorate or whatever the guy's got in something that is Spanish, from a Hispanic nation, Spanish speaking ethnicity, and you got Hispanics in your community, and you want to plant churches. That's pretty unique. I don't have that at my church, right? Most of us don't have that at our church. That's unique. That's what this exercise is designed to help you see, right? So again, as a pastor, you've thought through a lot of this stuff on your own. You already know what you want to do. This is a tool to help you lead the congregation to that point. Right? Like instead of me just standing up and saying, "Hey guys, guess what we're doing? We're planting a Hispanic church next week." Right? Instead of
Sometimes it can also help the pastor. Sometimes a pastor may have something on his heart but don't know how to actually implement it. You know what I mean? How can I do this? And I think that's a good tool to kind of help out all that.
Well, for us, like so for me, when I go into any sort of vision leading type meeting with my people, in my mind, I know where I want to go. I know what I think this is going to end up looking like. Okay? But what I'm doing in that meeting is I'm asking them to get in the car and to go with me. Right? So instead of just you go to sleep and you wake up at this destination, enjoy the ride getting there. Now on your left, you'll see this, and on your right, you're going to see that. So you're a tour guide. You're taking them to this destination where you want them to wind up at. And again, it may be a little bit off of what you initially thought, and it may clarify for you. But by the time I'm at the end of this, my people are saying, "Man, I get that. That makes sense. This is who we are. This is where we are. And Pastor, that's what you want to do? Man, that's where we need to focus our attention." Right? So instead of me focusing on, this, the 800 things that our church does, I can begin to, I'm not saying we're going to cancel everything else, but I'm saying we're going to begin to take our resources and efforts and begin to start dumping more of them into this one bucket, because this seems to be where God is working in our congregation. Does that make sense? It's prioritizing, 100%. So as I'm thinking through, I'm going to end there, but as I'm thinking through mission, that's what I want to, that's what this, so next month, or some month, in 2 months, in June at our June meeting, that's the week before the SBC, I think. Is that correct? We intentionally did that. So we're gonna focus in on mission and focus in on this little spot right here, and we call this the shield because it ends up that's the shape that it makes. But that little sweet spot, and we're gonna begin to think through. Okay, so I've figured all this stuff out. Now, how do I put that into a sentence that makes sense? How do I put that into words that I can communicate that mission to the congregation? So that's what we'll do in June. So my encouragement to you is to, even if you're not in a position that you can formally do this with deacons or whoever, do this informally with 1 or 2 people. So if you're out making a visit with a deacon, you ain't even got to write stuff down. Just start having these conversations, and just start saying, I noticed all these needles in our parking lot the other day. Man, isn't that something that, I don't see that at that church, and I don't see it at this church, but I see it here. And he's going to be like, yeah, we got to figure out something to do with that, so now I'm going to transition to this. Who do I have in my church how is our church uniquely gifted to deal with that? Right? And so it's just it's an informal conversation with no paper, no markers. It's just us thinking, and I'm sowing those seeds, same stuff, informally. Begin to do that. If you have questions about it, if you get stuck, if you can't find unique about your church and you don't think it's there, let's talk. I'm happy to help think that through with you. Again, Andy, either one of us happy to get the mission insight demographics for your neighborhood, your community. That'll probably blow your mind. Happy to do that. So you want me to do the other thing? Okay. So at our pastor and wife dinner, I did this on how to on thinking through who's in our church. This is thinking through it a little bit differently. We call it it's Vision Voyagers, but we call it the pirate thing. So in our church, the vision of our church, or the mission, either you can apply this to mission or vision. They're different, but you can apply it to either one. Clarity and information on this side, church involvement and participation, or mission involvement and participation on this side. Somebody that has no clarity on the mission and no involvement in the mission is what we call a stowaway. They're on the boat, but they're just sucking up resources. They're just half time you don't even know where they're at. They're hiding. They're down below. They sneak in at 11:05, sneak out at 11:55. Right? Like, everybody's got stowaways, okay? They don't understand the mission, and they're not involved in it in the church in any way, shape, or form. Then I have passengers. Passengers are those that, yes, they understand the vision and the mission. They're just not involved in it. They're the ones really sucking up resources, right? It's like, we get it. Yeah, we know where you want to go, Pastor. We just don't want to help you get there. That's the people that are just along for the ride and have no desire to get where you're going, okay? The sweet spot is the crew, right? The crew, they understand, they have clarity on their vision. They understand where you're going, and they're all in trying to help you get there. The crew, that's the ones that are swabbing the decks, right? That's the ones that are down below rowing, putting in all the labor. That's the 20-80 rule. Okay, this is the 20 right here. That's your crew. And the ones you got to be really careful about is the pirates, right? They don't understand the mission and the vision of the church, but they're really involved. It's dangerous because they're doing their own thing. They're working with their own mission and their own understanding and their own vision for the church. And what pirates do is they hijack. They take over. And there's usually a lot of destruction and death and everything else, right? So it's just a simple way to think through the people that are in your congregation and begin to think, okay, so this family is a passenger, so they get the vision and the mission. How do I get them to be a crew member? Like what do I have to do? How do I lead this family to serving and being involved? This family, man, they're stowaways. They're clueless and they just show up. How are you going to get that? Start sharing the vision with them, right? Get them to a passenger and eventually maybe to a crew member. You can what you're doing by doing this is you're able to identify where people are and then able to uniquely cast a vision to that particular person or that family. Have a sit-down conversation, cup of coffee, and say, brother, how do I help you get from here to here, right? And then the pirates, again, don't turn your back, right? That's the ones that you're just going to be caught. And we've all dealt with that. I'm not trying to be mean to anybody or in our churches or throw anybody under the bus, but we've all dealt with that. They've been there 30 years longer than you have. Their granddaddy laid the bricks in the church, and you don't do it like the pastor did it 30 years ago, so therefore it don't count. And I mean, right? You guys have dealt with that? Those are the pirates. So and them, man, I mean, they're already involved. Hang them, shoot them, mark the plank. That's the ones though that I mean, this is what we call redemption, right? We believe in a God of redemption. So how do I help lead you? So you're already involved. How do I just share the vision with you and get you up to being a crew member? Does that make sense? So, yeah.
All right, thank you, John.
Yeah.